And as I was saying, there's so much information that's made available that's at your fingertips. And a lot of it requires more intensive study just to establish what's factual and what's most logical, instead of falling for the emotional and for the symbolism, things like that. So what I'm going to do now is play a little bit of an excerpt that I ran across last night. A gentleman goes by the name of National Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey, basically considered as a master educator and a facilitator of of what I consider to be what's real information. It makes sense. It's logical. But it involves study, ongoing study. And that's what anyone that's affiliated with the Moorish divine movement and Moorish science will tell you. Just study. And the first thing that you do, though, however, before doing that, is you proclaim yourself. Proclaiming your nationality is one of the most vital things you need to do. And I've heard it even be mentioned in conversations I've had about this, that, well, I need to go and get my Moor. I need to become a Moor. Well, you already are that. You already are a Moor. And it's not predicated on skin color either. It's predicated on lineage. And we have to understand that our birthright is denied us, that we've basically been, have had our birthright stolen from us. Once you realize that, you start to understand how important that nationality is.
Yeah.
We forbid slaves belonging to different masters to gather in crowds, either by day or night.
You got to stand 6 feet apart.
Under the pretext of a wedding or for any other cause, either at the dwelling or on the grounds of one of their masters or elsewhere, unless on the highways or in secluded places, under the penalty of corporal punishment, which shall not be less than the whip. In case of frequent offenses of the kind, the offender shall be branded with the mark of the fleur de lis.
Fleur de lis.
The fleur de lis. Let me see where.
That's that flower that looks like this.
Yeah, I know what it looks like. Yeah. It looks like that it has a point down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people think that's a little nice.
Fleur de lis.
Yeah. So the fleur de lis, and should there be aggravating circumstances, capital punishment may be applied at the discretion of the judges. We command all of our subject, be they officials or not, to seize offenders, to arrest and conduct them to prison, although there should be not judgment against them. And that, what I really want, that stuck out, because I've been in places where they said we can't even, if two of us get to the water cooler on the Joe.
That's why they break it up. They come and examine what you're doing. What are you doing together?
Right. So
you're talking too long. You're having a conversation.
Right. So, yeah.
Schism. Schism operations. Look at schism operations. Mm-hmm. Now look at that training. Look at this training over the years, right? Mm-hmm. Why our people are divided and they accuse each other of it, not knowing they were brain trained to do that for generations.
Here's another one that's
right.
Maybe this is why we don't do this as much as we should have could. Article 15, we forbid Negroes to sell any commodities, provisions, or produce of any kind without the written permission of their masters or without wearing their known marks or badges, and any persons purchasing anything from Negroes in violation of this article shall be sentenced to pay a fine of 1,500 lira.
Now you understand licenses and regulations and why our people don't control businesses on any large scale. Mm-hmm. And without a license, they'll come and confiscate your stuff, including your car that you think is yours, and why the original manufacturer's titles of origin is never given to you, is sent to the corporate state.
Here's a good one. I'm jumping over to 21. Slaves who are disabled from working either by old age, disease or otherwise, be the diseases incurable or not, shall be fed and provided for by their masters, and in case they should have been abandoned by said masters, said slave shall be adjudged to the nearest hospital, to which said master shall be obliged to pay 8 cents a day for the food and maintenance of each one of these slaves, and for the payment of this sum, said hospital shall have a lien on the plantation masters. Now that sounds like these nursing homes.
Now, that's exactly what they are. That's why they take your estate.
Yeah, they sure do. This is interesting.
You know, once you really study the black codes, you understand the politics. You understand what you're looking at.
Christian black code.
Even the gentrification of communities, even the
I believe from 1726.
the lack of allodial titles, the lack of aboriginal titles, and that the deeds are not titles of ownership, but are indeed and in fact sharecropping agreements that trick the people think that they own property, and they're actually sharecropping. And as soon as your work life is off, or you're no longer useful to the corporation operations, they tax you out of it and declare it abandoned, even though you're in it. And so then your children don't get you work all your life and your children have no inheritance. And if they have it, the state taxes them out of it.
So if I'm not mistaken, he's talking about probate proceedings. It's something that I know, I have some knowledge of, because I was placed in a position where I'm a beneficiary of my parents' estate. And it was told to me that they did not want for the state to get their property from. They didn't want the state to get their property after they passed on. They didn't want things to be tied up in probate court. This is why it's important to establish wills and trusts so that the state doesn't get any more than they've already gotten. You figure you live your life, you pay taxes, you pay fees. Depending on which state you live in, you might even pay state taxes. You pay for what things that you purchase, the things you acquire, the things that you have. Yet the system has the estate monies, and we're not just talking about cash, we're talking about resources. And when we're talking about land, we're talking about everything that's contained within the soil. The true currency. Gold would be the most extreme example. But everything, the mineral rights to the soil. That's why when you actually buy a home, you don't own anything that's under it. You don't even own the structure. You're assuming a mortgage. If you break down what mortgage means, it's a dead note. And basically, those that afford you those dead notes, those mortgages, are banking on whether or not you fail to pay off that mortgage.